Hey, everybody, it's your Congressman Jamie Raskin from Maryland's beautiful 8th Congressional District. I'm here for my favorite time in the week, Local Hero, when we get to toast and salute and interact with the people who make life in our community so wonderful. And it is the occasion of my guest's 89th birthday that we are recognizing him as a local hero. He will be a stranger to no one who grew up here. His name and his face are ubiquitous in our community. Please welcome our local hero, Jack Fitzgerald. Jack, in 1956, left his job as a door-to-door salesman to begin selling cars. And after 10 years of doing that in DC, he bought an interest in a Bethesda Dodge dealership. And then he developed what has now become the hallmark of Fitzgerald Auto, which is providing customers with very close up and personal help and caring about his customers and caring about his employees. He's been in the auto business for 56 years now. He employs more than 1,700 people at his different franchises in Maryland, but now also in Pennsylvania and Florida. He has some people working with him who are third generation employees, and it's very much a family business. But I got to know Jack Fitzgerald as a state senator because he was known as a great champion of consumer interests and was always pushing for the protection of consumers and the protection of people in cars. He became famous with his child safety seat program, and I'm going to ask Jack to tell us all about that. He also became nationally famous when he pushed the government to come to the aid of the auto industry and not let it collapse. And now, of course, it has come roaring back, and he helped to save hundreds of thousands of jobs. But through all of it, he's been an extraordinary community citizen. And Jack and his family and Jack and all of his workers stay passionately involved in every kind of local community organization that you can think of, from animal rights and welfare to the protection of children, to Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. Fitzgerald is always there for our community. So for all of your activism, for your extraordinary work as a businessman and as a community citizen, we recognize you, Jack Fitzgerald, as our local hero this week. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. I can't.
So let me ask you about some of these things. But before we get into some of the things that have really made you famous across the country and across Maryland, I want to ask you about the early days. I don't know if you remember this, but at one point a long time ago, you told me that you felt like you had an undiagnosed learning disability. And I don't know if it was dyslexia. And although in those days they didn't really have a name for it, and they weren't attentive to it. And then you just decided the school wasn't for you at that point, and you just went out and went into business. Am I getting the story right there?
Well, yeah, I did have dyslexia. My son has dyslexia. That's really how I found out about it. But there's lots of people that have dyslexia. People know about it now. My son, they caught that in his first grade in school. So we're on top of it now. And maybe I'd have gotten through school if I'd had some help. But if you don't read the question right, you're not going to get the answer right. And so the tests, the testing was very difficult for me.
Yeah. Well, you became a remarkable business success at a very, very young age when you bought into, I think it was a Dodge dealership. in Bethesda. But you always put this sense of family and community right at the heart of your business. And I wonder where that comes from in your case.
Well, a local business person, does that. I mean, if you're a small business, and we were a pretty small business, we had a one-car showroom. It was a storefront operation on Old Georgetown Road, between Arlington and East West Highway. And you could actually see all the way across to where Chevy Chase Chevrolet is. And there was an unobstructed view from our showroom, and you could see the Chevy Chase building. There were no high-rise office buildings, in other words, in Bethesda now, which is sort of like a mini Manhattan today. And there's a high-rise office building on the site that we used to occupy. It was very inexpensive, and that's how we got into the business, because it just didn't cost that much. And I had half of the business, and my partner had the other half. He was one of my customers. He was in the appliance business, had several stores, and a warehouse, and had a service business, and a kitchen remodeling business. Very successful. Used to buy his trucks from me.
As you're contemplating retirement at a youthful 89 years old, you are planning to transition to employee stock ownership programs, so the employees will own the business. Is that right?
They own it now. They just haven't finished paying for it. I'm financing it.
I see.
So I'm the grand poobah, they tell me.
So that's remarkable. I didn't realize that. Basically, the workers own it, but they're still buying you out, in essence. You have so many employees who you're close to, and you didn't want them to lose their jobs. Is that right? Or
well, it's very disruptive. And if I went off, suppose I died, I mean, most of the people my age are already dead. So that would be very disruptive if that happened, because the IRS has to get paid. It's really hard on small business, the estate tax is, because it puts the business out of business in order to pay the estate.
it forces you to sell to pay off the taxes. Yeah.
Exactly. So by doing
So,
it,
and you've worked out a way that there will be a smooth transition if, God forbid, in 2 decades you decide to leave.
It's a government program. ESOP,
Yeah.
Employee Stock Ownership Plan, is a government program. It's a clever design, and they don't have to pay taxes anymore. That's how they get the money to pay me off. And I don't have to pay capital gains tax. I still have to pay an estate tax, but I won't disrupt anybody's job by dying. So it's really taken a burden off of me. I used to worry about that a lot. Now I don't have to, but I do have to wait to get paid.
So, you're a man who's taking care of your employees in life, and now you're contemplating taking care of your employees even in death. Hey, here's another anomaly in your career. I think you would have to concede that when you went into being a car dealer in the 1950s and 60s, that was a time when there were jokes about car dealers. The idea was that a car dealer was somebody who was going to take advantage of you, a fast talker, someone who's going to pull a switcheroo, all that kind of stuff. You became a hero to the auto safety people. Ralph Nader loves you. The consumer groups love you. What has been your philosophy about that? And tell us about the child safety program that you instituted back in 1999.
Well, Rob Smith is the hero on child safety. He took it he really took to it. He went and got certified. You had to go to school for that. And then he trained our people. He was a certified guy, and he trained me.
But he trained you in what, the proper installation of child safety seats?
I can't do it now. The arthritis in my hands won't let me. It, although it's a little easier now than it used to be because there are anchors built into the car now for you to hook the car seat on. And that's why it's easier for customers to put them in. But when we first started doing this, it was really hard. It would take two people to do it right. They had to push on the seats. It was kind of complicated, but we got assistance. We got everybody involved. We got the police involved, the fire department involved, and we got the state police. We got a lot of people helping. We put up a big tent on our lot, and we were doing hundreds of them. It's a great feeling to see a child go out in a car with a proper seat in, and it wasn't right when the car came in. And
Yeah.
they can survive horrendous crashes if they're in that seat and the seat's properly installed in the car and they are properly installed in the seat. We used to do this, we would teach the parents how to, or the caregiver or the grandparents, if you will,
Yeah.
how to put them in the seat correctly. And if they can survive the worst crashes if they're properly in that seat.
Well, let me ask you about another kind of crash, Jack, the stock market crash, which nearly destroyed the auto industry in Detroit and around the country. And you were a critical figure in mobilizing other auto dealers and consumers to rescue the auto industry. Now, whatever you would just say a word, tell us about that and whether you think you made the right decision back then.
What we did, and we had a lot of help. A lot of dealers helped. Tammy Darvish, for example, was able to get, she would use the computer and she was in contact with all kinds of dealers and marshaling help. And then the Congress was very helpful. Chris Van Hollen was in the Congress at the time. For some reason or other, the administration thought by having fewer dealers, it would save the manufacturer money. In reality, it's just the opposite. If you want to sell, as Vice President of Chrysler Pappert said, if you want to sell more peanut butter, you get more outlets to sell more peanut butter. And that's true. But for some reason or other, the administration had some Wall Street guys making these decisions. Anyway, thanks to a lot of help from the Congress, and the dealers had to fly in when we got organized. And anyway, I guess somewhere along the manufacturers caved and agreed to an arbitration process. And General Motors just took its dealers back. But Chrysler fights about everything. Chrysler's a kind of junkyard dog of the industry. And but we went to arbitration and we were successful in one of our stores. But a lot of dealers kept their franchise because of that. And it actually helped the manufacturers because, like Mr. Pappert says, if you want to sell more peanut butter, you got to get more outlets.
Need more supermarkets. Well, it's an amazing story. As usual, you understate the role you played. But I know that you were one of the key forces in making sure that the auto industry didn't collapse. Hey, Jack, before we go, you've mentioned multiple times your right-hand man and your partner in business success, Rob Smith. I know your wonderful sister, Dottie, has worked with you. You've got a wonderful team there that just never leaves. Yeah. And I wonder if you want to say something about the family that is Fitzgerald Auto.
Well, they're just Dottie and me is the family. But expanded family, includes a lot of people. Rob Smith is of the new ESOP company. He's the CEO of the new ESOP. And David Jenkins is the COO. I got too many people that I could talk about, and you're not going to have that much time.
Well, look, I want to tell you we are grateful to you for the extraordinary and splendid career you've had in business, but even more importantly, everything you've done for our civic life, everything you've done for consumer safety, everything you've done being involved in the community on everything from the NAACP to the parks and the schools. It's really something. And we want to take the opportunity of your 89th birthday to salute you as a local hero, and congratulations on the business transition you're going through.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you.